Hello, this is Kathy from Wild About Nature, brought to you by the North Carolina Zoo. While you're out there looking, you may want to collect some items that you could use for building a fairy house or gnome house, or even a fairy or gnome village, because that is lots of fun. Some of the greatest building materials include bark. I like bark. In fact, in building a nature fairy or gnome home, I've made a little teepee here with some bark. I've just leaned it together, nothing but the bark, and I've got it on top of a wood cookie. But you don't have to have a giant wood cookie. Not everybody has access to that. I have seen where people will take trays, like a big wooden tray or serving tray that's flat, makes a great space to build a gnome home on. Or if you've got a tough tray, or even those little mud trays that people use for mixing up cement, and they're very inexpensive at a home supply store. They're great for building small worlds in, or just for sensory play. That's another great thing about gnome and fairy home is sensory. If you've got some shells, got some little pebbles, these are some glass beads. Of course, if you have very, very young ones around you, you kind of want to make sure no one is putting anything in their mouth that shouldn't go in there. And then with the older kids, you don't have to worry about that. I like to mix in and sprinkle people-made things, bells, little jingle bells. Got the old holiday decorations you can dissect, bottle caps sprayed with paint and sparklies, all kinds of things that you can do to enhance your natural items. So what I've done with my fairy and gnome homes is I've just put some random things out, like shells, some little flowers in a little flower pot, a little felted birdhouse for play. I have a golf tee that's gold with a marble glued to it. It makes a great fairy gazing ball. The little cocktail umbrellas are just the perfect size for fairies and gnomes. Little spare wooden things you may have laying around. A nut with a marble makes a great bowl. A bottle cap for a mushroom on a cork. Just some cute stuff. Lots of ideas out there. And one thing you want to remember, grown-ups, this is the kids' fairy and gnome home, not yours. There are some fabulous things on Pinterest and other ideas on the internet. The adults could spend hours building the most fantastical and fancy fairy gnome homes. But these are for the kids. So they're in charge. It may not be perfect or by your standards, but that's okay. They need this. They're in charge. They get to make it the way they want to. So here I've made a little sand dig area for the fairies with some sand I had and a little baby wreath and just little random things. Here's an old hermit crab water dish with some reflecty type glass beads in it so they can have a place to take a bath. All different kinds of things. You may have some little tiny toys like the little plastic dog just to add some more randomness and fun to the small world play. So those are just some ideas to give you some springboards, some things you could just set out randomly and let the children put together for their fairy gnome homes. Again, as many natural loose parts as you can get, but you may not have access to all that. Even if you could just get some leaves or whatever, that's great. Or you may have a lot of little things around the house. But if you at least maybe get on a patio, a deck, a porch, and get some of that outdoors for the kids to get fresh air, just being around the blue sky and the green grass is really helpful emotionally for kids and for us grown-ups. So we've got some fairy gnome homes. We need some fairies and gnomes to live and play in those. So one of my favorite things next to building the homes is making some fairies. And you can start with some pretty simple things you may have laying around your house. You might have a popsicle stick that you can draw a set of legs on. Maybe you have pipe cleaners or fuzzy sticks for arms. This is one cut in half. I use some tissue paper from wrapping paper. You got some wrapping paper laying around that I cut my wings out of. A little bit of glue and yarn for her hair. And then I just glued a pretty little sparkly thing for her shirt. Her skirt is a cupcake liner. So really simple stuff you may have laying around the house. You know, you can ad lib on any of this. If you do have some flowers blooming, oh, flowers are wonderful fairy outfits. So there's one. Another easy one, pipe cleaner body, bead head, curling ribbon arms, tissue paper wings, and tissue paper skirt. Just found something that's round, traced it, cut several layers at one time, and turned out really pretty, I thought. Another really simple, a little bit easier for younger kids. This is the old style clothespins or clothes pegs. Sometimes you can find them. They can draw a face on them with some markers to scrap a fabric where they've made a little tunic, because I understand that boy fairies wear tunics, and a little ribbon to tie it on. Real simple. This was child made, by the way. This is another one of the ones I really like. Taking old silk flowers and tear them apart. Flower for the skirt, leaves are the wings, and a little ribbon for the shirt, also acts as the arms. This is the little back part on the stem for the hat. So, let the child put the face on, or if they don't want a face, that's okay too. Remember, they're in charge. Here's another one. I found some cupcake liners that look like flowers. They can also draw and decorate their plain cupcake liners to look as pretty as they like. We've got the fuzzy stick arms. Another bit of, this was actually a flower lei on the, like the necklace thingy you wear for a luau that I cut apart, and another little flower for the cap. And then I had a couple of pieces of craft foam that I cut wings out of. I just did a heart, and a little heart. I traced stuff. I'm not good at drawing, and glued it on. So, cool little fairies. If you can find some of the little pegs, you can make little children fairies. Now, you also might want to make a gnome. These, you've got some felt and little pom-poms, maybe some fake fur that you would use for crafting, and fabric scraps. So this again is the little clothespin, the clothes peg style, the old-timey style. I think you can order them online. Some fabric scraps that I glued on. Made a little felt cap. Here's his nose and his beard. Now, for those that really don't like to use people-made materials and want to go more natural, this is a cool one. This is the Stick Fairy or Gnome, and we've just wrapped the sticks together with yarn for decoration / clothing. Now, me not being the most coordinated person in the world, this is the body stick. These are the leg sticks. And I put those three together with a rubber band so they wouldn't fall apart and I wouldn't have to keep reattaching as I wrapped it with the multicolored yarn, which kind of works best because it's colorful. Then the arm stick I also put on with a rubber band. And then when you wrap it with yarn, all that's covered. And now, your fairy gnome can play in their home. They're pretty sturdy. Things don't fall off and fall apart. You don't have to worry about glue or glue gunning. And you can make a whole bunch of those if you've got access to some sticks. If not, you could try something similar, popsicle sticks, to play in your fairy and gnome